Hello again, welcome back to the multiplayer tutorial part 1. Today, very fast episode. We're going to be creating the hub scene, and that's it. We're just going to be creating a scene. So basically we're just going to take a small break. We are going to get some of the client stuff out of the way before we move on and create the follow requests, unfollow requests, and the online status all for everybody. So without further ado, we are going to create a new scene. This one will be called hub in my case. That's actually where people are going to be seeing their follow list and also who's online. So I'll be storing that under the hub. And as I did for the first client scene that we've done, I'm simply going to copy over my UI. It's a very simple UI this time. Simply this thing here. So that's what I'll be copying over. It should take less than 5 minutes. And let's get started. So we start with a canvas. This canvas. I'm gonna go under the canvas scaler, make sure I screen with scale size. With screen size, so I can have a 10:9 or 16:9 resolution. Okay, well under that I'm gonna have an image that's gonna be my background. Make sure it's stretched on both axes and let it fill the whole screen. I'm gonna go for a black dark background, and then we're gonna go and make our friend panel, so the thing we see on the left. Now I've called this friend panel in the previous version, but it really behaves more as a follow panel, so you can look at who you're following and not really a friend, because you don't need the consent of the other person to be friends. So that's why I think a follow panel fits it a little bit more. So this one's stretched on up and down vertical axis, and I give it a 50 in the buffer. Oh, also I make sure that I hold shift and I make my anchor on the left hand side here. I want to give it a 50 margin, 500 in width, and also give 50, not 50 in height, but 50 top and also 50 bottom, also margin. The background color of this is going to be the same background color I've used in the past, so I'll be going for something like this. Okay, that's going to be my friend panel, and I'm going to drag this up here. It's not supposed to be in the under background, it should be on its own. This one, not going to be using vertical layout group. Instead, I'll just be placing stuff manually. So at the top here, this is going to be my self info, so information about myself. Basically, it's just going to be my username and also a discriminator. I will make sure to anchor it at the top and give it height of, say, 50. So 50 was good enough for me. I will change the color to a lighter shade of blue. It's very barely noticeable, but you'll see it in the game when you don't have all that transparent stuff going on. So that's what I have in here, and then beneath that I have a text mesh pro, and as I like to do with text, stretch it on both axes so it fits the whole thing, and then we can fix our alignment using the actual font setting. So this is username and then discriminator. I will be anchoring this on the left, maybe give it a small margin of about 20, that looks good. And we can even change the color of it to a cyan, why not? There we go. Okay, having that completed, I will now create a section for the the follow group. So this whole container is going to be for followers. So 50 top, and I think I put 100 for the bottom. At the bottom we'll have the add follow with the input field down there. So this one, I'm not going to put an image in there. Actually not going to put anything in there. That's going to be my follow container. It's going to contain people I follow basically. And then one last thing we have to add at the bottom, another panel. I'll anchor it at the bottom. This one will be height 100. Put the same color as at the top. Make sure my alpha is maxed out. And inside of here is where we're going to be adding a couple of things. Actually, you know what? They're really hard to see. I'll make them a little bit more bright. So something of the sort. My color is 21, 28, 37, and it's now time. This is the add follow, and under that I will add my add follow input. So add follow input. Okay, so quickly let's actually anchor that on the left. bottom left, I will put in a height of, this one was 60, position Y, let's put that on 20, and the width was 380, so I took this whole space here. Now, in terms of the background image, we're going to put that on a darker color, maybe this one. Then let's make sure we also change the placeholder text and also placeholder, or not placeholder text, both text basically. Okay, that sounds good. Color, we can shift it to something like this. Well, we could just put it on white. And yeah, that should do the job. Now for the placeholder, we'll just do something like that. So username and triple dot. Maybe for a placeholder we want to reduce the color a bit, make it blend more with the background. Okay, right, and the final thing is going to be a button on the side of this thing, so we can press on it and it's going to call the server. So I believe my button was 60 per 60 and it had a margin of -20. Here it is. So it looks something like that. I actually will remove the text. I will not need the text, and I'll change the color of this to say the cyan we have at the top. So 3090 F0. Okay, it might be a little bit too bright, but you get the point. This is basically just for add, follow, submit. Okay, so this is our UI. So we're not 100% done. We still need to do one more thing, and that's to create a fake follow. So when we do have real follows, we can instantiate them using that prefab that we're about to make. So over here on my follow container, I'll add a new panel that's just going to be simply follow. So on this one, I go for I think it's 80 in height. We don't care about the width, don't care about the position just yet. We're going to be using a vertical layout group for that. But right now, let's just care about the height. So that's 80. And beneath that, I believe I'm not actually using a background. I'll just leave it there for a moment. I have a name, status, and then a unfollow button. So I'll start with the name with the text mesh pro, and that's going to be follow. Actually, that's just going to be name, right? I'll make sure I spread on all the axes, and then the margin I'll give it on left is 20, and I'll give it a margin of 100 on the right. That's going to give me enough space to put the status and also to put the unfollow button. Now I will go ahead. I will go ahead and make sure it is centered properly. I'll just type in his name, so Fran, or an example is going to be mine. Keep making a mistake in my own. Yeah, so I believe this is good. I kind of want to put it in all caps. It looks more dangerous, but you know, up to you. And now it's time to add the status. So this will be an image, so UI image. I will have to make sure it's all the way over here, so not in the section we have reserved for text. So I believe I have my exact thing on the left here are the following. So anchor on right side. I also shift anchor on the right side. -40 in X, 0, 60, and then 60. And my image, actually I use a default image from Unity, and it's the knob. So this little circle is going to turn green when the person is online and gray when he is offline. And that's going to be my status. And finally, for the delete, I basically just create a new button, anchor it on the right hand side, and I give it a width of, I think it's 20 or maybe 30 if you feel generous. I actually make sure it's stretched too. There it is. I will remove the text beneath it, and I'll just turn it into a red button, so it's kind of obvious that if you click it, something bad is going to happen. Okay, so that's the example of a follow. Now I will remove the image. I actually don't want to have the image. I can just leave it like that, and we can stack them like this. Let's go ahead, and one last thing before we save this to a prefab, we're going to test it out by adding a vertical layout group on the follow container. Now I don't want to stretch on height because it's just gonna make sure like it's just gonna look like this. Now that I don't want, so I don't want to do child force expand on the height. However, I want to make sure that the width stays like the full length of the container, so I'm gonna put that on the width as well. Okay, and as you can see now, if you have multiple friends, here they are. There we go. Let's go ahead and take our follow, drag and drop this in a new folder called prefabs, like so, and now we'll be able to instantiate it directly into this container as soon as we have a little bit more information on it. Alright, so now it's time to prepare our transition from one place to the other. So from the first scene to the second scene, the lobby to the hub. The first thing we'll do is the easiest thing, of course. Go under build setting, drag and drop this hub right in there. So now we'll be able to call scene management, scene manager, and then switch to hub. Now, the area where we will switch to hub is under client.cs right here. So as you can see on the onLogin request, if it was successful, I'd like to switch over to my my other scene. So right here, I will write the code for changing scene. I don't have Unity Engine at the top, so I'll just type it manually right here. So Unity Engine, scene management, scene manager, load scene, and we're going to load the scene called hub with a capital. One thing has to be done right here. So if you guys remember, on our onLogin requests, we actually have information in there that we don't really use, right? So OLR, and we have all of these. So all our information is in there, and we never keep track of it, which is a problem. We actually want to keep track of this thing, simply because as soon as we enter the other scene, the hub, we'll have to display it at the top right here. So we need to start keeping track of that that information. So this is where we are going to save data about ourselves, because that's the only time we really get access to it. Well, that's the first time we get access to it. So there's a couple of ways we can go about doing this. The one I will be using today is I'll be using another definition of an account. Let me try to explain to you what I mean by that. We have model_account. That's the class we use to create an object in database, modify that object. Everything database related is around that model. Now, I'd also like to have a definition of that, but only for a game and only for a client. And it's not going to be the same because I'm not going to need as much information as the database needs. Let me give you an example. So let's say I want to keep information about myself. I'm only going to need the username, discriminator, maybe the email, because it's me, basically I can have access to it. I don't need my password, that's for sure, because we have our token, and it's basically, that's how we access things. We don't use our password, we're not going to log in again. And yeah, so that's the main reason I don't want to have the same thing. Plus, in the future, if we request information on the user, like say we have a feature that does a view profile, and we want to know more about this person, so we view his profile. I want to receive information back of that user, but I'm not going to receive the information database gives me. I don't want the model account class. I'll just take a normal account that doesn't have email in it, that doesn't have token in it, and so on. So I'm gonna go ahead and create that in shared actually, because we'll be building it from the other side sometimes and sending it over to the client, and vice versa. So right here, I will create a new C# script, call it account, and note that this is inside of the shared folder, so it's been created on both sides. So this account object, in case I want to throw it from one side to another, so from the client to the server, server to client, I'll make sure this is also serializable. So system, serializable, not using mono behavior, and I don't need much fields in here. I'll take, however, the connection ID. We could call it active ID, that's how we've been calling it before. So active connection, set get, public int username. So just note that everything I'm writing in here is something that we could actually receive, and that could be another player. It's not an int, it's a string. Yes, thank you. Discriminator, hardest word to write. And then I will also take a status, so that's also public. And that's all. We're not going to go any further than that. I just need that basic information. If we need something else later, such as, oh, which world is this person in, or what character is he playing, you could put that in there. Of course, you still need to build this object somewhere, so you would maybe have to go back on the model account and modify that there as well. Okay, so having this information, we can go here and start saving data about ourselves. Now, I'll be keeping this at the top here in my client, so I'll just call this private account, and I'll call this one self. And what I'll do is, when I log in, I will create a new instance of self, of account actually. So my connection is going to be equal to OLR connection ID, self.username, OLR username, self.discriminator, OLR.discriminator, and then finally self.status, OLR status. Actually, yeah, I'm not sending the status. I don't actually need it here. Oh, well, that's totally fine. What I will need on top of that I did not want to save an account is my token. So I need to keep track of my token, and the only area where we get it is here, is once we log in. So I'm gonna say token is equal to OLR token, and we'll go define that at the top, just next to our account. So private string token. This is something important that you must not share with other people. If you share it with other people, you are at risk of exposing your account. But at the same time, if we only run one session at a time, one user can use the account at a time, we will be fixing this when we disconnect because we're killing that token. That being said, I think we have everything we need to transfer over to the other scene, and then we'll start coding in the other scene. Just like we've done for lobby scene, we'll create an object for that right here as well. And we are going to do that right now. So under scenes, right here, I will create a new C# script. This is my hub scene, and I will create an empty object called hub scene, reset the values, and then put my script on top of it. So hub scene, just like that. And let's get coding in here. So I actually think I will be using model behavior. So I'll be using model behavior, and in the start, this is where I'm going to be filling my values at the top. So I have information about myself, and I can also access it because I have the values in here, and this is private. I just realized we want to make this public in this case. So public account self, we are going to remain public. Having that completed, let's see. Right here, I'll need a reference to the Text Mesh Pro that is standing on top of our hub scene, so this thing over here. I could get it with the name, just like we've done for the lobby scene, but I'm going to switch things around, and I'll do it with a draggable field in this case. So I'll serialize my field. This is a private TMP Pro, I think Text Mesh Pro UGUI. Yep, that's what it is. So UGUI. I'm using TMP Pro at the top here, and that is my self information. I guess we're going to call it like that. We'll say self information dot text is equal to client instance self username plus # client instance self discriminator. Okay, so now when we join the scene, we should now have our name at the top. Of course, that's only if we drag and drop this thing in, so I don't forget it, I'll just do it right now. Self info, and we drag and drop this thing. Now, according to our logic, everything should be nice. I should be able to switch, transition from one scene to another, have my information at the top, but I'm not going to be ending the episode right now. I like to actually finish everything UI related right now. It's going to take a second. I just need to create 2 more functions, and those are for the buttons. So for the add button and also the unfollow button, those are going to be dynamic, but we'll create the function here anyway. So let's go ahead and do region buttons, or like on click, or whatever you want to call it. And this first one is going to be on click add friend or add follow. I gotta stop calling it friend. We don't need to have anything else in there, no parameter, because we'll be fetching it manually from the scene right here. Then we are also going to have another button for on click remove follow. This one we are going to need parameters because it's not going to be a button we press on. Actually, it is going to be a button we press on, but it's dynamic, so we won't be able to assign it in the scene directly, as we will with the on-click add follow. So this one, just to remove friend, I'll just take his username and discriminator. That's the only information I have about him. Somebody else that isn't me, I don't have the email, I don't have the token, I don't have anything like that, so all the information I have is really just username, discriminator. We could have a special ID, but we haven't built our system to support this thing at the moment. Alright, now when it's time to add somebody, we're going to grab the username and discriminator, so string username discriminator, and we'll grab it from the text input. I am also going to put it at the top here. In my previous example, in my other code, I have it as a GameObject.find, but you know what, we're just switching things around today. We feel a bit different, so let's do TMP. I think it's TMP input. Yeah, TMP input field, and this is for add follow input. And I'll just do, oh, right here, add follow input .text, just like that. What do we do with this? Well, first we're going to check if it is a username or discriminator. So we have our utility class everywhere because it's static. So if it is not a discriminator, so username blah blah blah, and it's not an email, so I also accept emails here. That's I forgot about that part, but yeah, we're also going to be accepting emails. So if you want to add the email of your friend, you'll have access to his username and also discriminator after that. Okay. So if it is not an email, and it's not actually, if it's not a username and discriminator, and it's not an email, then we have some problem right here. So debug.log, we can say something like invalid format or something of the sort. Really up to you. If you want to like add the message just like we've done for the first scene, like the authentication message, you would be free to do so, and you would change it right here. But if it actually went through, that's where we would actually create a message and send that over. So client instance send add request or add follow. Okay. And then for the onClick remove follow, I am also just going to put that right here. We don't need more code in this, so send remove follow. At the moment, we'll leave it like that. I just wanted to do the UI part of it. And for the final touch, we are going to be taking this button, the add follow submit, and linking the function to it. So drag and dropping my hub scene in here, and this is onClick add follow. As I mentioned, for the onFollow, it's going to be dynamic. We have to create the friend first and then allow us to click the button next to him to remove him. Alright, so this is it. We are going to give this a test, and if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, well, we're going to fix a couple of things. Let's have a look. Booting the server first, then the client. I don't quite remember my username from last time. I think it was something like that. I'll just create a new one, basically. There we go. Sending request, account was created, amazing. Logging in like this. You have been logged in. Did I get switched? I actually didn't get switched, so that is a problem. Well, the error is quite simple. I don't know how to read. Basically, I was coding all of this earlier in the unable to login section, so let's just drop that down here. Just a stupid mistake on my part. If you spotted earlier, I bet you did. Well, now you know why I made a mistake. It was not on purpose. Okay, let's try that again. I'm just going to start a client. I don't need to restart the server. That was only client-side code. So here we go. Submit, and then we are in the hub scene. We have our username here set. This function should work. Well, I mean, we get a null reference right now. What is that? Oh yeah, we forgot to add input, but we forgot to add the TMP input to the hub scene. So let's make sure we do that, and we can then call it an episode. So we've completed most of the boring stuff for this hub scene. Actually, we completed all the boring stuff, the client-side stuff. Now, in the next part, we are going to start adding follows, and we are then going to jump into, well, we have two things to do in the next episode. We have to add a follow, we have to remove follow, and then on top of that, we have to also receive a friend list, because right now we're never receiving a friend list. So assuming you're going inside of the hub, you're adding 3 follows, log out, come back online, you still don't know who you followed last time. So we're going to do all of that in the next episode, which is going to be a little bit more complicated than this one, but should be quite fast. I think we got the good pace. And then after that, the final episode is going to be about online statuses. So thank you so much for watching again. Join the Discord, and I will see you in the next episode. Cheers.